Hello everybody, welcome to the 11th tutorial in the series The Basics of Programming in Python. Today we're going to be talking about working with lists. So we're going to be making use of some of the lists we used in the last tutorial. So the first thing I want to talk about is what I didn't get to talk about in the last videos, lists can also contain lists. So you can have lists as items in another list. As you can see, this will be at index 0, index 1 and index 2. So if you print LOL of index 1 is going to give you this list here. So you can also have lists inside of lists. So this is like a list of lists. Okay, cool. So now we're going to talk about what we call list methods. So when you're talking about list methods are like functions, but this time around they are functions you use on a list particularly. So you can use these functions on any list. These methods on a list, they are called list methods, by the way. So you can use these methods on any list. Now let me show you something quickly. We're going to print users here. We're going to make users as first. We're going to print it here. I assume you already guessed what I want to do. If you've seen the last video, you should have guessed. Okay, so now we're going to do some methods here, some list methods. We're going to apply some list methods on the list here, so you can see the differences. We'll print that before, and then we'll print it after, so you can see the differences in the list. Okay, cool. So now the first one I want to show you is the append method, which is used to add values to the end of a list. Okay, so we're going to do users.append. So when you're using methods, you don't have to reassign it to the list again. Okay, so this is the way you call a list method. You call it with the name of the list, then dots, and then the name of the method with parentheses to call the method. So if the method is taking arguments, you put in the argument here, but if it doesn't, you are not going to leave it out. So the append method obviously takes an argument, so we are going to pass in TechHemi. We're going to save that. So what this does is prints the users list, adds TechHemi to the users list, and then prints it so we can see the difference. We run it and you can see we've added this. You can also add as many as possible, or as many as you want. You can add a number as well, and you see it at the end. Okay, so cool. That's the append method. You also have what we call the pop method. What the pop method does is it removes. Okay, let's leave this. What the pop method does is it removes values from the end of a list. So if you do the pop, it takes in an optional argument, but you can also call it without any arguments. So whenever you call it, it's going to remove the last value in the list, which is TechHemi we just added here. Okay, so we are going to save that and then we are going to run it. So it removes it. It might not be seeing the difference here because we added TechHemi and we removed it immediately. So we're going to cut that, and then we're going to paste it here and print users here. Okay, so as you can see, we added TechHemi, we printed the list to see the difference, and then we popped TechHemi out, and then we printed the list to see the difference. So we can also use the pop. You can also use the pop method in a way that you specify the index of the elements you want to use. So you can do this by just putting, let's assume we want to remove Corey. We're going to save that and then we're going to run it. As you can see, it removed Corey and then it shifted the other ones in. So that's basically it for the list methods. You also have the sort method. I'm going to do a sort method here. Users.sort. This doesn't take any argument in, at least to be able to sort the list. And then we're gonna run that. As you can see, it sorts the lists alphabetically. So we have J first, M first, R, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's it for list methods. Now let's move into what we call list slicing. Basically, list slicing is used to get a subsection of a list. Say you want to get from hello to first, you can just start picking indexes one by one and then adding it to a new list like that or something like that. Of course you could do that, but that would be stressful or long method. But let me show you a better way. So the way you do it is, this all works based on indexes anyway. Now we're gonna create a new variable, or we could just print it. You can create a new variable and store the value, but we'll be printing it in this case. So the name of the variable of the list, and then to slice it, I told you make use of indexes as well. You put your starting index. So we want to start from hello, which is at index of 1, and a colon, which means you are starting at this and then you are ending at this. So we want to stop at true, which is 1 2 3 4 5. But note, whenever you're using list slice, you always want to add a number to it. So we're putting 6 here, which means Python will not count the sixth value. It will only stop at the fifth one, which is what we want. 1 2 3 4 5. So let's save that and see what it does. As you can see now, we get to true. But if you put 5 here, you will notice Python doesn't get to 5. It just stop at 4. You get? I hope you understand that. And you also have anyway, I hope you understand that part. If you have any question, make sure you comment down below and ask your questions. So we also have stepping of list, so you can specify how many times you want it to step forward, just like you have in the range. So you can put 2. That won't be too much. Okay, so we're going to sit down and then we're going to run it. Okay, so 2 wasn't too much. So what we did here was we skipped every 2 values we got to. So after hello, we skipped 1 and then 2. We got to the second one. Okay, let me indicate with my mouse, my cursor. So when we got to this one, we skipped 1 and then 2, 1 and then 2. So that's what we do with this. So this is like step in the range function. If you haven't watched my video on for loops where I talked about the range function, you should watch it. Okay, cool. So now we're gonna move on to what we call the in and not in operator. Now what this operator does is it checks for values in lists basically. So we're gonna do print. It's very easy and straightforward. So we want to check for a number in the lol. So we're gonna do 7 in num. So what you're telling Python is you're saying is 7 in num, and Python checks if true. Python returns true. As you can see, yes, obviously 7 here. But if you put a number that is not there, I'm gonna save that and then we're gonna run it. It gives you false. So that's what it's used for. You can also do the same thing in the LOL. You can put a list and then LOL. I'm gonna save that and run it. You notice it returns true. You must have noticed the return true even though these spaces were not there. So Python just checks for the values in it and for this list particularly, and then returns true if it's in the list we are checking for it in. Okay, so let me quickly go through that again. Just checks for this list inside this list, so don't get confused. This is like an item there, so it checks for it and returns true if it exists in the list. Same as in not in. All you have to do is just upright not in. If you and save, run. Of course false, because this is actually in the list. So if you remove this value, okay, we are saying this not in this LOL, and Python returns true because it's not here. Okay, so that's it with the not and the not in operator. Very easy and straightforward. We also have, by the way, you can loop through a list. Let me just show you quick stuff on that. For I in num, you can print I, and then you save and run. You list through the list, you loop through the list. So you can just cool stuff with that. And as well, we also have what we call list concatenation replication. You can add 2 lists together, by the way. So we're going to create a new variable called TL. It doesn't mean anything, by the way. Let's just put TL. And then we're going to add 2 lists together. We're going to add the users list plus the LOL list. You can add any list you want, and then we're going to print the output. So this will add the users list and the LOL list together. So it's going to put everything in a list. It's not going to put it in a way like this where we have lists inside lists. It's just going to add it together. So that's where you add lists together. As you can see, you have the list, and here we have this. I hope you're not confused. If you are confused by any means, please comment down below and ask your questions. I'll do my best in answering them. Okay, so as you can see, it adds the list together. You can change this to L to num as well. It doesn't affect if it's a number. It adds the list, and cool. So that's it with list concatenation. You can also multiply lists. You can multiply the values you have in a list. You can do times 2. So we're gonna have this value appear twice in the list, and as it go. So that's it with list concatenation and replication. Good. I hope you all understand the idea about that. I hope you're not saying I'm rushing all kind of stuff. So what I'm trying to do is make sure this video is not too long and you kind of understand the basic idea behind this concept, the list slicing, list methods, and others I've been talking about. Okay, now so lastly we're going to talk about functions we can apply in lists. Okay, so I'm going to clear this. Just like we have, I think we've seen the sum function, the length, of course we've seen the length function. So there are some functions you can apply on lists, and I'm going to be showing you so a few here. You can search for that on Google. Functions you can apply on Python list. You see a lot of them and how to use it. It's very easy and clear to use. So the first I'm going to show you is a length function. It's used to check for the length of a list, but this time around it's not going to count from 0, it's going to count from 1 and give you the exact length of the list. So we're going to check for the length of the list of num, and then we're going to print it. So it says 5. So now let's count it and confirm. Yeah, of course we have 5 values here, 1 2 3 4 5. Let's check for the length of the list of users. That's 5 as well. Cool. So we also have what we call the sum function. You can only use this sum function on numbers, but if you try it on strings, it's going to give you an error, because you can only add numbers together and not strings with this function. So this function thinks you want to add number, not concatenate it together. So I hope you're not getting confused. I'm just trying to make sure this is very simple for you. So sum just adds all the values, all the numbers in the list together. Now let's run num. So it adds 1 plus 2 plus 7 plus 5 plus 9 together, and that is 24, as you can see down here. But if you try it on a list, it gives you an error. But the only way you can add this together is, by using another method. But you can't use this sum method. This is mainly for numbers, when you want to add numbers in a list together. Cool. And the min and the max method, finally, before we end the video, the main method, the main function is used to check for the minimum value in the list. So we're gonna save that and run it. Of course, in users, let's change that to num. Of course we work for strings, and then we're gonna run it. You see 1, and the max should return 9. Max, we're gonna save that and we're gonna run it, and you see 9. So that's it with the min and max function and operations with list. Thanks for watching this video. If you like the video, make sure you smash the like button, click the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Please guys, make sure you like this video. If you watch this, it's gonna really help me in growing my YouTube channel. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.